caught up with Mary Chollet, Director of Ministry and Communications, and Father Ed Hallinan, the parish priest, at St. Chrysostom Church in Wallingford, Pennsylvania, to find out how one parish had reacted at great speed to the impact of COVID-19.
A Director of Communications for a parish is very unusual to Irish ears or Irish eyes. What exactly does your job normally involve pre-COVID?
Well, my job then and now involves communicating, evangelizing to the parish and beyond. I'm the contact person for external communications with all of our partners that we serve, with the local media. Internally, it's incredibly important that we communicate clearly with our own parishioners and with people we're trying to reach. So we have more than 2,000 households in our parish, more than 6,000 people, and reaching all those folks is very, very important.
Prior to COVID, I would be busy probably from 8 o'clock in the morning till sometimes 8 or 9 o'clock at night. What do you call it? A lot of times folks that work, their only time available to come in is in the evening. And if I'm meeting with various parish organizations, for the most part, they're only available in the evening. But we also have a parish grade school, and so that keeps us hopping as well. And we also have a nursing home in the boundaries of the parish. And we have a hospital that we cover one day out of the week. And as you said, with 6,000 people and people having all types of various needs, it keeps you hopping.
That your ministry before COVID was very much face-to-face, meeting people, interacting with people.
What do you call it? I had never Zoomed until about 8 or 9 weeks ago. I had never done it. I had never even heard of it. And now I do Zoom 2 to 3 times a week at a minimum. I'm in a priest prayer group, discussion group, and we normally meet every other week in person. But being that we have the social distancing and we're being quarantined, we're meeting weekly by Zoom.
He's doing pretty well on YouTube. I have been saving the outtakes. We record our masses every day. And I have been saving our blooper reel for a future date. But our ministry always drives our communications. I mean, my title is ministry and communications, not the other way around. And so a big part of, that's what we're here for. That's what we do. We also have between 40 and 50 standing ministries at our church. And I'm, constantly communicating with them, and we're all trying to make sure that we're rowing in the same direction. So that would be everything from folks who serve the community, folks who are building homes, folks who are providing meals, choirs, musicians, people who serve the parish house, who volunteer around here. Well, it's been a huge learning curve for me too. As I told you in one of our initial emails, so my 20-year-old college son, who is quarantined with me now, is doing all of our video production and trying to teach me how to do it as well. My older son is helping with our social media. And so I've had an enormous amount to learn along the way overnight, because I never did any video, despite a lot of years in communications. I didn't do a lot of video or anything like that. So it's been a real learning curve for me too. We got all the way through recording a mass, and about 5 seconds before the end, I realized that I had not hit the record button. So
looking into a tiny camera, and it was myself, a deacon, and Mary was behind the camera, to try to visualize hundreds of people viewing what we were doing. It was really hard to grasp. And one of the things as a priest, when I'm saying Mass, I feed off of the people, and I think the people feed off of me. So when I preach, I sort of walk around the church when I preach, and I'm looking at people, you know, eye to eye, and I'm seeing the faces that they make. I'm seeing the eye contact or maybe lack of eye contact or whatever, but like I feed off of that. And so it's taken me a while to adjust to just Mary, the camera, the deacon, and myself. Well, I guess like one thing, when we first started it, I felt like I was giving too long of a homily. And I'm considering people are sitting at home and attention spans being what they are. And I initially was saying to Mary, I think I got to cut back like on that, because I want people to enjoy this and not to go, oh my God, is this going to be like an hour? And so for the daily masses, we're like 20 to 24 minutes for daily masses, and then maybe 35 minutes for a Sunday mass. But I'm trying to be, being that I can't see their faces in front of me like I do at church, I'm trying to be cognizant of, you know, what it's like to be sitting at home and, you know, having maybe distractions and stuff like that, trying to keep it shorter and more to the point than elaborating too much.
And how long would a mass have been when your parishioners were actually present? Much longer?
What do you call it? On a weekday, it would be 30 minutes at a weekday. And on a Sunday, it would be 50, like, because we'd have music and everything. On a Sunday mass, it would be 50 to 60 minutes. We actually had just last Sunday, a cantor volunteered to sing like a verse and a refrain for the entrance, the offertory, communion, and recessional.
Well, we have a list of a growing email list that's now at 1,965 emails. Now, those are not 1,965 households, but we have almost 2,000 emails, and that list has been growing. And I email the masses out 5 times a week. So people get those at 7 o'clock in the morning. We record ahead of time. A lot of people are live streaming. We're not live streaming, we're recording because we'd rather make sure that people get an appropriate mass. Too much go wrong with live streaming, and it would put unnecessary pressure on our resources. I mean, we're trying to do this with very few resources. So we record ahead of time, and then those masses are produced somewhat, and then we email them out in the morning at 7 o'clock. And it has been growing and growing. In fact, people are asking me can I add their mother in another state to our email list? Can I send the masses to a friend on the other side of the country? So a lot of the people who are viewing are not even our parishioners, or some are our parishioners that we haven't seen. Those masses are on YouTube. We're trying to promote our YouTube channel to get more people to subscribe, because that's been growing steadily. Well, we had about 1,800 a month ago. But the surprise to me has been the fact that we are now emailing something to everybody. So we email Father Ed's masses 5 days a week. Then we send out a homily from this guest priest that we haven't seen lately. We send that out on Monday when we don't send our own mass. And then the other day that we don't send out a mass, I've started sending out an online version of our bulletin. So people are now getting email from us 7 days a week. And I've honestly been holding my breath, waiting for a flood of unsubscribes from people who say, this is too much, you know, leave us alone. So far, we've really struck a chord. Our daily masses are being viewed by, on average, 250 people, sometimes 300 or 500 people. We might get 25 people in church at a daily mass. So we've talked for so many years as church attendance declines, how do we get those folks back? How do we reach folks who aren't here? Somehow we suddenly are. People tell us they enjoy watching the mass with a cup of coffee in the morning. They like to view it when they get home at night at work. It helps them unwind. I mean, they really like being able to have the Mass there when they are ready for it.
You know what? It's always been an active parish. And I've been here close to 10 years. And one of the things that I realized was many parishioners didn't actually know everything that was going on in the parish. When I got to meet Mary, and Mary was on Parish Pastoral Council, I would talk to the council and say, you know what, people will come up and say, why don't you do this or why don't you do that? And I would say to them, we've been doing that for years. Okay. And people would go, well, I've been here for years and I didn't know that. And so in projecting in my own mind, I wanted to have a person full-time on the staff that was in charge of communicating, because people that had been in the parish for years didn't know everything that was going on. And so having a person in charge of not only communications, but the ministries, Mary got in there, and if it had been stagnant, we sort of poked it around a little bit to where people went, oh, I don't want to be bothered by you, and they left. But we got someone to take their place where the ministry came alive again. And I asked permission from the parish council and the finance committee if I could have monies for that position. Mary and I one day got talking, and I began to realize that she was open for it. And that was history after that. I was happy to hire her, and thank God she was happy to come on.
Well, we're going to keep on the same road we're on, Ellen, because I'll tell you, our county in this state is one of the hardest hit by COVID, and we are not going back to any kind of pre-COVID life in the foreseeable future. Father and I were on a call yesterday with the or a webinar with the Archdiocese, and they were talking about how things are going to look in the next, who knows, 6 to 12 months. And even when we go back to normal or the least restrictive we're going to get for the foreseeable future, there's going to be distancing requirements, there's going to be limits on gatherings, there's going to be mask recommendations, and it is a whole new world. I'm going to continue to look for anybody who can help us build these new connections in any way, and keep moving forward in the spaces that we're in. I mean, we certainly all are eager to get back into church, but that's not going to happen anytime soon. And when it does, it is going to be kind of a shadow of its former self. The Archdiocese is wisely being very cautious and putting people's health first. And they need to see what the state is going to recommend and what our public health officials are going to recommend. And those recommendations are geared toward what each county is experiencing. So if there's a rural county that's less populous, they may be allowed a little fewer restrictions than an urban area like Philadelphia and the inner ring suburbs. So it's all going county by county. And the Archdiocese is waiting to see what the state and health officials recommend. We're waiting to see what the Archdiocese is requiring, and we'll make our plans from there. As far as the limits on gatherings, there could be a flat number that they require, or what I've heard more likely is a percentage of your building's capacity. So our church seats 850. If we can have 10% of our church, there would be 85 people at Mass instead of several hundred.
Your biggest learning out of all of this COVID-19 and how you've changed, what's the biggest change you've made?
As a practical matter, the technology, but really just recognizing that the church is not the building. The church is the people, the church is the word of God, the church is the message. And we just need to, since we've had to sort of abandon our 3,000-year-old script, we need to reinvent church and remember what church really is.
I'm not being disrespectful in any way when I say that the key takeaways from that interview revolved around two areas: publics and product. I'm not sure if Father Ed was aware of it, but the way he described his parishioners was very PR. He divided them into publics: nursing home, registered parishioners, hospital, grade school and ministries. There was a very steep and very fast technological curve that they both had to go down. Father Ed had never used a Zoom before, and Mary had never shot a video. They found a new audience. Their daily mass is viewed by 250 people, but only 25 people attended in church when the mass was said live. They found a new way to consume the product. People actually told Father Ed that they enjoyed mass in the morning with coffee, or they looked forward to it when they came home from work in the evening. The introduction of a full-time communications person had a huge impact on the community and basically resulted in a complete turnaround from apathy to engagement. And finally, the challenge that they face for the future. As Mary said, they are trying to reinvent a 3,000-year-old script. Some challenge. Essential online training solutions for communications professionals. The PR Training Academy.